Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Rotoworld Fantasy Basketball Q&A. I'm Raphielle Johnson, back as usual with another fantasy Q&A. Noah Rubin won't be with us today, but we will have a special guest in a few minutes, Titus of Yahoo Sports. We're not going to waste any time to get into some questions since we already have some lined up in a queue. Thank you guys for that. Dragon, thanks for tuning in. Where do you see Jaren Jackson Jr. and Mikal Bridges following the rest of the season? Managing my expectations as I traded Bridges and Wendell Carter Jr. for a Triple J in a few weeks, thinking Mikal would cool off. I think Mikal is going to be really good. I don't know if he's going to be first round good for the rest of the season, but I think he can be a top 25 player in the system that they're running for Mike Brown. He's going to be available. That's the other thing. He hasn't missed a game as a pro. College, I think back to his sophomore year of high school. So he was a little higher on my preseason board for that reason, in addition to the change in the system that they're running offensively. So I think he can be top 25 good. I don't know if Jaren can be that type of player, even if he gets back on track offensively. The issue for him is the rebounding, I think, more than anything. He's averaging about 6 boards per game for his career. He's about at that number right now. So man, I think even if Mikal does cool off, the drop isn't going to be significant. So I kind of feel like you should have held on to Mikal there, unfortunately. All right. And you got another question. Any projections on Royce O'Neal and Noah Clowney for the rest of the season? They're on the wire, and I probably won't drop my end of roster guys. We got Kamara, Shaden Sharp, Reed Shepard, but may add them if I can pull off a 2-for-1 trade. Man, I think Royce is the safer floor in terms of his production. Clowney, that situation in Brooklyn, the opportunities will be there, but I do worry about the efficiency playing on a team that's one of the worst in the NBA. So I think that would be a concern there. I think Clowney, I don't know. I think Clowney's has a higher ceiling, but the floor is lower than O'Neal's. In terms of dropping them for any of these guys you list, I would not do that. I think they're all going to be valuable pieces moving forward. O'Neal will probably be outside of the top 100 in my view once they get everybody healthy in terms of Jalen Green, Grayson Allen as well. So if you can pull off a 2-for-1, maybe you try to do something like that. But I would not look to drop any of these guys you list for either O'Neal or Clowney. All right, and without further ado, let us introduce today's co-host, Titus of Yahoo Sports. Dan, how you doing, man?
Raph, it's been a minute, dog. How you been?
Yeah, I've been doing well. Obviously, Noah's out. Positive reasons, of course. We'll let him discuss that when he gets back. But in terms of Yahoo, you guys introduced a new high score game this year. I've had some fun playing it. It takes a little getting used to, not having to adjust your lineup every day. But how have you taken to the new game so far?
I mean, with all the rash of injuries going around the league, I've actually appreciated not having to scour the waiver wire for Drew Eubanks and Luke Cornett in certain situations. So, it's been cool for the players that are off injured, that you may only see once every 3 games anyway. But I think I've enjoyed it. There's definitely nuances to it where you can interchange players. Knowing when to start players in certain matchups, I think is kind of fun too. So it definitely takes some getting used to, but I've definitely warmed up to it. And I think it's a good way to at least get into fantasy basketball. If you haven't played before, if your fantasy football teams suck and you want to do something different, this is a good entry point to get into fantasy basketball.
Yeah, I'd agree with that because, like you mentioned, your guys who tend to have availability issues, they're not automatically ruled out in this format. Right. I still have Joel Embiid on one of my rosters, so who knows what we'll get from him. But, unless you have a Bradley Beal, then, you still have a chance to get some value from those guys.
Exactly. And with short benches, I think it also allows you to be more willing to just drop players because, I feel like that one of the hard things in 12 team leagues and, deep 9-cat leagues is you're trying to account for so many variables of how's this guy going to replace this guy? Well, you have a 30-point potential scorer on the waiver wire. It's all right, well, I'll just pick up this guy. Pretty easy enough. So I think I think once you get a chance to play it, it makes sense. And then if it's too simple for you, then you can graduate to, playing 9-cat, playing points, standard points leagues, roto, etc. So yeah, I just think it's a good entry point for anyone that's new to playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. We were also competing in the same 30-cat league.
That one is crazy though. See, that's where there's scales of this. Like we've been doing this for a while. Like we need that extra boost. Where like I'm picking up literally. Who did I pick up the other day? Caleb Love, who just started playing for the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
Who knows if he's going to stick? But yeah, there's levels to this.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't familiar with 30-team leagues, it's basically a matter of like who he played for once you get to this point in the season, because some of these guys, you don't even know if they're still in the league, but you kind of pick them up once they get a little bit of run. But
yeah, I think you smacked me, man. You got a good team because you got Tyrese Maxey on there. So like that's going to be the
I actually didn't get Tyrese.
Oh, did you not?
That may be in high score, but 30 deep I've got Bam and OG out, but OG was healthy at the time, and I got Mikal Bridges. So
oh yeah, well, Bridges has been one of the more undervalued wings in fantasy this year.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get back into the questions. We got a few lined up here. CY would like to know who he should stash, between Ty Jerome and Dylan Harper.
That's an interesting one. I'd probably lean Ty Jerome because I'm not convinced that this calf injury with Ja Morant and all the turmoil around the Memphis Grizzlies has really been solved yet. So I think that he probably has a quicker path to fantasy relevancy, just given all of the backcourt issues. Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to be out for a while too. Vince Williams Jr. coming off 15 assists. Maybe he holds the job, but I feel like Ty Jerome was the free agent acquisition that they wanted initially. So I think he probably gets the nod for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Harper as much promise as he has. You've got Castle, you've got De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell as well, if you want to throw him into the mix. There are a lot of different guys who are actually dependable that he's going to have to deal with in terms of competing for rotation minutes. Ty Jerome, different situation there. Who knows what happens with Ja? I don't know what type of value they would potentially get in a trade, but the way they beat the Kings last night without Morant and without Jaren Jackson Jr. last night, we can talk about the Kings a bit, but I think it was almost therapeutic for the Grizzlies to be able to like let out that frustration on someone. So, and then you get Ty Jerome back eventually. I think he can be a really big help for them, and that would be good for fantasy reasons too.
It's really interesting to see what teams are at this turning point of, do we continue to let this ride or do we just blow it up? And I feel like we have way more teams that are in states that we don't think we expected them to be at this early in the season, where, I don't know, we could see some shakeup around the league. Wouldn't surprise me.
December 15th, so most of the league becomes trade eligible. So we'll see what happens then. All right, pop a cold one. 12-team 9-cat head-to-head, holding Brandon Williams and PJ Washington for this back-to-back. But their combined 3 for 23 the other night was something. It's either worth holding on to.
I mean, you said it yourself. You got the back-to-back. So there's no reason to me why you wouldn't hold them. Like they're already, Saturday is going to be a lighter slate anyway. So you can fit them in your lineup. If you still have some concern on Saturday and they play bad, then drop them. You're probably going to drop them. You're already thinking about it. So I'd say ride this out on Friday and Saturday. I think PJ Washington still has significant value with AD off the floor. And then Brandon Williams is just kind of coming into his own. They don't really seem to want to play D'Angelo Russell more than 20 minutes a night. So I think Brandon Williams still holds some value there. And he does other stuff other than just score. Like he's good for at least 5 assists. Will also rebound well and get a steal. So I would hold the line.
Yeah. The back-to-back is basically your scouting for next week. See what these guys do, and then see who's on your waiver wire. And then you start to look at schedules for week 6. Who could potentially have 4 games of value on your waiver wire? Either of these guys underperforms, then you can kind of move on. I think I would prefer to hold PJ between the two, just because between Davis, Lively, and Gafford, who knows who's going to be healthy on any given night. So I think he would be the one I would hold on to if I had to pick one of these. But yeah, I'm with Dan. I think you play out this back-to-back, and if they underwhelm, then you can kind of make a move for someone else after. Okay. Would you drop Isaiah Stewart to stash Kelly Oubre and 9-cat?
No.
Yeah.
The way PG looked yesterday, no.
Mhm.
No. But I think it's more about just the Detroit Pistons willingly playing a big lineup and it
Yeah.
being, I mean, this is one of the hottest teams in basketball right now, so they're not going to go away from it. I think Beef Stew is going to be in the lineup and in the rotation, playing significant minutes. So I think that holds value more than Kelly Oubre coming off an injury in a front court that I think is still trying to figure things out a little bit.
Yeah. Detroit's going to have some rotation questions to answer too, but Stewart's looked a lot more comfortable in the 4 this time around than he was a couple years ago. They just kind of threw him out there to just figure it out, and he really didn't figure it out. So it seems like he has the answers now. We'll see what happens once Tobias Harris gets healthy, but he's still going to figure prominently in that rotation. So I would not be dropping him to stash Kelly Oubre. All right, Ryan is back, and his worst players are Dante DiVincenzo and Andrew Nemhard. Weekly games cap, 12-team ESPN points. What's your advice?
So I guess you're looking to pick up somebody on the waiver wire. Who would you drop of the two? It'd probably be Dante. Although, oh no, man. Yeah, it'd probably be Dante. But I just feel like the way that the Pacers are right now, like they're one of the worst teams in the league. I would just be concerned long-term about Nemhard. But if you're talking about hitting waiver wires, you're not concerned about his long-term outlook anyway. So, yeah I think you drop Dante now, ride out Nemhard while it's still good, and then, keep it moving.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think they're both holds for me, to be honest with you. Of course, depends who's available on your waiver wire. But I think they're both holds given their places in the rotation. There may come a point where Nemhard's a drop just because of how bad they are. And plus, they have their first-round pick back. New Orleans sent that back during the NBA Finals. That seems to be ignored in terms of the deals the Pelicans made during the offseason, but that's going to be a potentially fruitful pick for the Pacers given how they played. So at some point, he may be a candidate to be benched. Not really benched, but just held out, for injury management reasons. But, I think for now
they'll figure out an injury designation.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. They're both holds for me right now. Okay. Clark Kent would like to know, do you hold or drop Cornette for Lively, Whitmore, McConnell, Dioman, Goodwin, or Huff, 12-team head-to-head 9-cat?
Ooh. Of those names, I'm not convinced that Lively plays on the back-to-back. Yeah. I might roll with Jordan Goodwin of the Phoenix Suns here. And it's a dark horse, but I think between him and Colin Gillespie, one of those two guys or both of them are going to continue to thrive as like that fourth option on offense, potentially even third. TJ McConnell's kind of interesting too, but I think I lean Jordan Goodwin here. I don't know that I can trust the Pacers front court with Jay Huff and Isaiah Jackson. Just no consistency. Huff had a good last game, but I don't know if I can rely on him. So I'm going to go with Goodwin here.
Yeah, San Antonio doesn't have the best schedule, so I guess that's probably why the Cornette question comes into play here. They play 3 games next week, and their first game isn't until Wednesday. So even with the Wembanyama injury, that may be reason to move off of him. I think in terms of the players you list here, potential pickups, I think I would say Goodwin as well. We don't know how long Grayson Allen's going to be out. Jalen Green's going to be out probably until Christmas or so, it looks like, based on the timeline given at the time of his second injury. So I think Goodwin would be the one I would look to for that reason. Lively, he's still kind of ramping up. If you need another center, he may be the choice for that reason. But if you don't, then it would probably be Goodwin for me as well. All right, and his second question, when do you anticipate J-Dub, Ja Morant, and Wemby coming back? Don't have exact timelines for these guys. I think Wemby's going to be reevaluated in about another week or so. Ja, similar case in terms of that next evaluation. J-Dub is the confusing one for me because he was supposed to be reevaluated about last week. He's still been out. Don't know how long he's going to have to be out. You keep playing as well as they have. They can probably be a little more conservative with his return anyway. So know if you have any thoughts on those guys.
That's where I'm kind of confused about the Jalen Williams situations. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think the update probably would have happened if they weren't,
Yeah.
15, were they 15-1, something like
Yes.
that. So like the last team that needs to rush anything is the Thunder, and the way AJ Mitchell's playing, they don't need to rush anything. So I'm wondering, of the three, who comes back first? My guess is probably Wemby. Because at least Wemby's not in a boot. He was already seen at practice doing light work. I think they're just being ultra conservative because it's, a calf injury and Wemby. But I think Wemby comes back first, but I have no clue about Ja. We talked about that already. And Jalen Williams, I think they're just waiting till when he's fully 100%, bring him back in there slowly.
Okay. And let's get to one of my favorite second-year players. Ryan asks, what's your rest of season outlook for Keyshawn George? Can't figure out if he's a sell high. Started hot, had a slump. Now he's hot again. If I were to sell high, what should I aim for? An average of 35 fantasy points per game.
So it sounds like you're playing in a points league.
I think it's the ESPN points league.
Okay. I'm not interested in selling high personally. Like this is a guy I would hold for the rest of the season because I see him as, potentially a top 60, top 70 guy all year. But I think it's just the stats that he provides, I don't think you can get from a lot of forwards. He literally touches every fantasy category. And because you're not playing in a category league, you don't really care about the free throw percentage. So this is the type of multi-categorial guy that I'd want on my team. And he also has the positional versatility too. So I would try to hold unless you're selling for somebody that, is a top 40 player that's not playing like that right now, then sure, you go for it. But I'd elect to hold.
Yeah, I would hold. Let me see if I can pull up a potential option here.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the market for Keyshawn George right now? Because I threw out one last week and I pulled it real quick. I threw out Keyshawn George for Derek Queen. And I was like, nah, let me not.
Yeah,
let me not do that yet. Not yet. But I do like Derek Queen, but just not as much as Keyshawn George.
Yeah, that's not enough value for him. But let's see here. So I'm kind of looking at ADPs, and because I don't think you'd get Trey Murphy back for Keyshawn George. That would be a bit ambitious. But you could always try it, It's not a bad idea unless somebody says no, right?
I don't think that's egregious, right? That should that should foster conversation, at least.
Denny Avdia probably be in that mix. That's
probably too high.
Yeah, you're going to have to aim high here. Probably not as high as what I'm doing with these suggestions, but if you were to sell high, you're looking for someone who could potentially get you top 50 value on the high end. Like that 50 to 65 range would be where I kind of aim in terms of potential value in return for him, because he's on a bad team, but he's young enough to where he's not at risk of being shut down. And he, like Dan said, getting you good value in pretty much every category that you need. So you're going to have to aim high if you're going to sell. I would hold on to him.
What do you think about Cooper Flag?
I don't know if that's high enough. But I think Cooper's got potential for sure, but in a redraft league, and I don't know if Dallas is as chaotic as some other situations around the league that we've seen, but it doesn't feel like the most stable spot with the whole Nico Harrison situation and Anthony Davis not being healthy. So I think I would need more than Cooper Flag in exchange for Keyshawn George, I think. Okay, and it looks like he's got a suggestion here. Should I accept Josh Giddey from my KD and Keyshawn? This is 12-team 9-cat, though.
No. No.
I like Giddey, but I think you're giving up too much.
Yeah, that's way too much. Like KD's efficiency, you don't want to lose that in 9-cat. And I think the stocks with Keyshawn are far better than when you're trading for Giddey, which is just literally, a near triple double. But I think KD and Keyshawn can make up that difference easily.
Agreed. Okay. Are both Drummond and Ace Bailey worth holding on to? 12-team ESPN points with a weekly games cap.
No, 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 no. I think you could hold Drummond for
Yeah.
sure. But Ace Bailey, I don't see it for points leagues yet. He's just it's not time yet. Right now, this offense is really predicated on Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
Not much room for anybody else yet. There probably will be in time, but yeah, Andre Drummond's a hold until Joel Embiid comes back.
Yeah, I think Ace is like right around that trade deadline where
Yeah.
you're going to want to have him rostered just to see what Utah does in terms of moves. So, yeah, but Drummond right now, definitely worth holding with Embiid out. Probably have some value once Embiid returns just because we don't know how much he's going to play. So, but yeah, I'm with Dan on that one as well.
I meant to check how many back-to-backs the Sixers have the rest of the season because they've had 4 in like 15 games and they can't. That's just a grueling schedule, yo. Like, but I'd be curious to see, like, since they had that front loaded, I'm sure that they probably get some relief later on in the season, which could bode well, down the line for someone like Embiid and Paul George.
Good. Okay, Kobe White has started off hot. Is this a sell high? What's his upside? 12-team ESPN points.
I don't know that I'd say it's a sell high. It's been like what, 1 game, 2 games.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. Like, if anything, it's just like you drop Trey Jones and just watch Giddey and Kobe White do their thing. I'd hold because I don't know, points league. I don't see any reason why there's a reason to sell off of Kobe White. He's just going to be a bucket and get you assists, get the rebounds. Like, he'll be well over 30 points, 30 fantasy points a game. So no reason to get rid of him.
Yeah, he's a hold. And I don't know what type of value you'd be able to get just because the whole back-to-back factor. And he's going to be on somewhat of a restriction, for the foreseeable future. He played 30 minutes in his first game. He's only supposed to play 24 in that double overtime game in Utah. They got him back within his limit the following game, but he's still coming off the bench. Obviously, he can still provide really good value for you, but yeah, 2 games in.
Too early.
It's too early to think about selling high, I think. All right, would you trade KP and Ace for Derek Queen? 9-cat, need to make space when Ty Jerome comes back, and I have KP in the IL. And his 2 worst players are Ace Bailey and Vince Williams Jr.
I mean, to me, I see this as a 1-for-1. I think this is KP for Derek Queen because I'm not expecting Ace to do much right now. I'm interested in that. I'm not gonna lie, because I just don't think KP is dependable right now, and the New Orleans Pelicans are heavily incentivized to play Derek Queen as much as possible right now.
Yeah.
So I think I might take that deal. I'll take the Queen side.
Yeah. I wouldn't even hesitate to make this trade because, Porzingis, Onyeka Okongwu played really well when he was out. He's even productive when he's coming off the bench, but with Porzingis' injury history, you kind of wonder if they're going to have to make that switch at some point, just out of a minute standpoint, where Okongwu plays more. And then you're looking at someone who's going to have less value than you would expect. I think Porzingis certainly has top 50 potential, but can't stay on the floor. There really isn't much to gain from that. And like we mentioned earlier, Ace Bailey is more like a late January and onward player for me in fantasy. So I would definitely make that trade if I were you. All right, Bruno would like to know, would you trade Cade Cunningham for Jimmy Butler and Chet Holmgren in an 8-cat league?
Whoa, that's a trade right there. I would not trade Cade, but I'm not mad at the compensation. But Cade and 8-cat, I mean, that's it's easily a first-round value. So I don't know if that's worth getting a 3rd-round Jimmy, Chet. I think it depends on your team build, because if you need blocks and some defensive stats, I think it does make sense to probably get Jimmy and Chet. But I don't know, man. Cade's going to put up some gaudy lines, and I'm sure your team's pretty solid if that's what you're searching for. So I would hold Cade, but if you're in a pickle and you're looking for more diversity of stats, take the volume and you get 2 really solid players.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. like that. And I think just to bring this up as an example, even if you're in dire need of blocks, Isaiah Stewart's only rostered in 21% of Yahoo leagues. For some reason, I don't know what's going on over there, even though I play in Yahoo leagues, but
He's
that
not
is,
available in any of your leagues either.
yeah, that's egregious. Like
Yeah.
even Jay Huff, he's giving you, let's see, 1.9 blocks per game, 5% roster. So I feel like you can find value on some of these waiver wires without having to make a trade like this.
Yeah.
Because in 8 cat especially, I am not giving up Cade Cunningham.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we can't say the name. Hello, Rich. Who can I target in a trade if I trade away RJ Barrett and 9 cat?
I don't think I don't know. RJ Barrett, you can't just lead with RJ Barrett. You're gonna have to throw in another piece in there because I think just generally, especially in 9 cat, he just doesn't have the reputation of someone that you'd want to acquire, even though he's playing really well right now. The Toronto Raptors are playing very well. I would probably see. RJ Barrett. Let me go to the.
He's just outside top 100 right now, even
and I feel
with
like
that hot start.
And he always is. Like that's where Barrett is in 9 cat. So like it's not really that appealing of a player. So yeah, I'll stick to my guns here and just say, you got to include somebody else in that trade, and you might make somebody interested in dealing them.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to get much for him straight up, just because, like Dan said, we know his reputation in 9 cat. It's not a very good one. So yeah, if you're going to make a move, you kind of need to make it now, just because I don't think he's going to go back up to where he was like the first couple weeks of the season. So
yeah, and also you probably say that sell high window probably passed.
Yeah. Okay, which player can I target for Porzingis 9 cat 12 team?
Derek Queen.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm curious to see what how Porzingis is moving right now in the trade market. Let me see here. Who else is a good person to look at? What do you think about Nick Claxton? Can't trust the Nets.
Yeah, he doesn't really appeal to me. I think
Concanipple.
Now, if you gave me Concanipple, I would do that. I wonder a conversation consisting of Porzingis and Miles Turner. Like, I don't know if that would be
that could probably be. I think it sucks because Giannis is out.
Yeah,
I would say that Miles Turner probably holds more value in this moment. But I think if you once Giannis comes back, that's certainly in the cards. Khalil Ware, maybe like that could be buying a little bit low.
Yeah.
You probably missed out on Vucevic. What do you think about Zubac? That's probably too much. But he hasn't been playing well, man. The Clippers are awful right now. Like,
I tried to warn people about Zubac. I tried to. He's a good player. Like he and James Harden have done the best they can to carry that team, but they just aren't good. Like
I wasn't expecting this kind of a drop off from Zubac, though.
Like, I mean, when Ty Lue said during the preseason that he thought Zubac played too much last year, and he was at about 33 a game, that was the first red flag for me. Now he's played more recently because the Brook Lopez addition really hasn't worked
at all.
But yeah, I think Zubac is dependable in terms of field goal percentage and rebounds. But I don't know. I think that might not be enough for Porzingis in his trade, even with his availability issues. Okay, and Rich traded away Keontae George for Darius Garland. 9 cat, do you like or dislike?
Don't like.
No?
Don't like at all. No, I mean, I think it's a good sell high moment for Keontae George. I just don't know that I don't know. I feel like the breakout is for real. 23-7. He's the second option. I don't see even Isaiah Collier, like even if he continues to eat into his playmaking, he's still going to put up good numbers. And he's not even shooting well from three. He's shooting like 28% from three. So the fact that he's getting good looks from two makes me even more encouraged for Keontae long term. Like that shot's going to fall more. Darius, I just don't like acquiring injured guys. And like he hurt his toe 2 or 3 games after returning. So like, did his toe magically get healed in that time span? Does he wear a special sneaker? Like, I think it's a risk. A risk I wouldn't have probably taken. But if you're talking about, historical value, then it's a good trade.
Yeah. When healthy, Garland has a better floor, but I don't really care for the ceiling much. Not just the injury, but also the Donovan Mitchell factor, Evan Mobley. Those guys are going to be the first 2 to eat offensively in terms of what Cleveland does. So that kind of limits what Garland can give you. And, he first injured the toe back in March. Then he aggravated during the playoffs, surgery. Now we're talking about another aggravation. That's a concern. So, I don't – even with Keontae's efficiency concerns, he's been much better this year so far, but not too big on this trade. But I sincerely hope that it works out for you. So we're not here to watch people lose. So
right.
All right, Daniel, thanks for tuning back in. Will TJ McConnell's minutes tick up enough to make him viable in shallow category leagues?
Shallow category leagues. So I'm thinking like 8 team here. 8, maybe you go as high as 10. It probably could. Like I just keep going back to the fact that Indiana, their record is so bad and their backcourt, they just had so many injuries. So I wouldn't be surprised if TJ McConnell gets a consistent, anywhere from 23 to like 27 minutes a game. He can do that. He's a per minute beast. So I think he absolutely could. I think you just have to play the schedule. So going into week 6, the Pacers play 4 games. Believe 3 of them are on heavier slates. So you may not be able to fit them into the bigger lineups, but definitely on a smaller slate, I think you could rock with McConnell.
Yeah, I think we can. We've seen him do it before. So I think the only thing is you're kind of racing against the calendar. Like we get to a point in February where the Pacers decide, you know what, we're going to sit some of our older guys and look to maximize this first round pick that we have back in our possession. So that would be the question for me. But right now, I think he can definitely be rostered in shallow leagues. All right. Is Vince Williams a must roster in 10-team 9-cat head-to-head? Sounds Ja. Well, I think we talked about Ty Jerome a little bit earlier. Not really sure exactly when he'll be back. But what do you think about Vince and 10-teamers?
I'm not going to say he's a must roster, but he's absolutely a person you need to be streaming.
Yeah.
So I would say pick him up, ride the wave. He's not going to help you much in scoring or efficiency in terms of shooting the ball, but I think the counting stats is where you really want Vince. First game, he almost had a triple-double. He gets steals. Last night, he had 15 assists. So, you don't want to leave that guy on the waiver wire.
Yeah. I think right now he should be rostered. When Ja returns, probably not. Well, most likely not, because you probably have Ty Jerome out there too. So,
right.
Yeah. Right now, you might as well get in there while he's available. All right, Yannick, should I add CJ McCollum to my lineup? Well, I don't know what your full lineup is, but
who's your worst player?
Yeah.
I'm not excited about CJ McCollum and just the situation. So it'd probably take a lot. If you need points, then you could probably take a flyer on him if you're down at the end of the week. But long term, no, I'm good.
Yeah. I think they're better upside players on your average waiver wire to where you can roster them instead of CJ.
Yeah.
That's another one where the situation really isn't great because right now he's obviously starting, but it's probably going to come a point where they look to lean into Bub Carrington a bit more. Trey Johnson as well. Get those guys even more minutes than they're already playing. So, okay. Traded Brandon Williams and Jaime Jaquez for John Morant. 14-team head-to-head. What are your thoughts?
Good job selling high. Now you just got to wait for Ja to get back.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea in a 14-teamer trading 2 healthy guys for a guy that may or may not come back anytime soon. But value-wise, I think it's a good trade.
Name brand obviously sticks out, that part. But I guess the question would be like, who are the other guards on your roster? Like Dan noted, you're giving up 2 healthy players here. So I'd imagine that you have a pretty good lineup of guards who are currently playing. So that reason, the 2-for-1, not a bad idea to kind of roll the dice here.
I feel like Jaime needs to have more conversation around him being a most improved player too, man. Dude's been hooping.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Jalen Duren is probably head and shoulders above the field in that regard. But Jaquez, he's been really good too. Okay, Peyton Watson played 34 minutes in each of Denver's last 3 games. Is this going to be the norm with Christian Braun out?
The norm? I don't know about the norm, but I mean, Peyton Watson is a really good stocks generator. So as long as he's getting the minutes, you stream him, and then he stops getting minutes, you don't. I don't think he's a must roster by any means, but in a 12-team league, I'd be interested if the schedule presented itself.
Yeah, I'm not sure he'll hit 34 every night, but high 20s, I think he can get good enough value, especially defensively, to kind of stick with him here. So Christian Braun, he doesn't bring the offense overall that Brown does. I know he scored 32 the other night, but that isn't the norm for Peyton Watson. We've all watched him play. So, but I think he can give you good value in terms of the steals and the blocks, and that's kind of what you're aiming for here. The offense, I think in Denver's case, they're hoping that it comes from Cameron Johnson. He's been better recently, but that's going to be the key for them in terms of accounting for Brown's absence, and Watson giving a bit more defense in that role as the spot starter.
Yeah, the Nuggets don't have a great schedule next week. 3 games. They play on Monday, and then they don't play again until Friday. So I probably wouldn't take too much into Peyton Watson at the moment.
All right. Rich would like to know Bilal Coulibaly or Peyton Watson tonight and tomorrow on 9-cat. And you've got back-to-backs for both of them.
Bilal, eh? I honestly don't have Bilal rostered anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting question. Maybe I need to. Let's see here. 2 solid games. I'm going to lean with Bilal because I think his minutes are more trustworthy. He's played 28 and 29 minutes. He's only been below 28 a couple of times this season in as many games that he's played. So I would trust Bilal. And I also like the matchups, Toronto, Chicago. I'd roll Bilal.
I'll take Peyton Watson. But Washington's only had 1 back-to-back before this weekend. Bilal was out for both of those games, part of a 4-game absence for him. But so don't really know what his availability is going to be looking like. And Peyton Watson is no such concern. So I would take Watson in this situation here. All right. And then 11-cat, would you trade Jamal Murray for Amen Thompson? I have Pritchard, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Isaiah Collier, Vince Williams Jr., and Dyson Daniels.
What are the other 2 categories? Like double-double or something?
Could be assist to turnover ratio, kind of 3-point percentage, maybe. Not really sure what the other 2.
Because I'm trying to wonder, like, where Amen would like help you that Jamal.
Maybe the defensive stats, but let's see.
Pritchard, Fox, Booker, Collier. Your field goal percentage is already not that great. So I think it probably makes it. I mean, he helps that, but it's probably just the stocks that you're missing. But you have Dyson Daniels, so maybe not. I guess I'm looking at the upside ceiling. I'd rather have Amen Thompson, but I think Jamal Murray is having a really underrated year, even though the numbers don't really speak to it. So I actually do have more shares of Jamal Murray than I do Amen Thompson. So I guess for me, I would probably say no, but I could see the upside in getting Amen on your team for sure.
Yeah. Murray, he usually gets off the slow starts. It hasn't been the case this year. He's been healthy. So I think that's another reason why we probably hold on to him. Given who you have on the rest of your roster in terms of forwards and centers, I don't know if you really need too much in the way of stocks, at this point. So I think I would hold on to Jamal Murray and bet on him continuing to average that 22.5 a game that he currently is on. All right. Is Norman Powell a sell high, and who should I trade him for?
I mean, relative to Tyler Hero coming back at some point, yeah, he's a sell high. Although I feel like Norman Powell can thrive still with Tyler Hero on side of him. Who should you trade him for? I would probably put Norman Powell at like when Tyler Hero comes back, he's probably going to be like a top 70, 80 guy, would you say?
I think he'd be higher than
that.
Yeah, like that 50 to 65 range, I think. That's what I would say.
So pure off efficiency, scoring threes, and maybe like a steal a game.
Yeah.
Who would I trade him for? Let me see who other people are trading him for. I don't really have much Norman Powell.
I would not trade him. I think he'll be fine, given what he did last year with the Clippers before getting hurt. I think that's closer in line to what he is than a significant drop off once Hero returns.
Yeah, and you got to imagine Tyler Hero is probably going to have a minutes restriction for some time too. So it's going to take time to ramp up. And we also I don't think we've really gotten an update on his situation yet either.
I believe let me see here.
Like he hasn't been cleared for contact or anything like that.
So I want to say Monday might be. But they said he's targeting November 24th, which is Monday, for his season debut. So,
then
that was a report. Yeah,
that's a significant report. So, I don't. All the trades that I see for Norman Powell just seem a little bit outrageous. So, yeah.
Wait. You got to read off a couple of them if you have them there. Read.
So. Let me see. Where's the first one I saw? Zubats, which I wouldn't do. It's too low. Norman Powell and Evan Mobley for Josh Giddey. I don't know about that. Austin Reeves straight up. Evan Mobley straight up. Jimmy Butler straight up. Jimmy Butler straight up is actually not that bad to me.
Yeah.
If you're taking on the injury risk of Jimmy Butler, like that actually doesn't seem. That seems more reasonable. So, all right, there you go, Jimmy Butler.
All right, there you go. Okay, Nadia would like to know 14-team head-to-head Cat, Kel'el Ware, Reed Shepherd. Who has the higher upside? For the rest of the season.
Ooh, if Reed gets into the starting lineup somehow, he gives you literally everything. But Ware is such a freak. Upside, I'd say Reed Shepherd, just because I think for 9-Cat, if you go back to his college profile, I think he has the better, more well-rounded skill set to be good at fantasy when you combine his 3-pointers, the efficiency when he gets there, the stocks for a guard. You could be having like a low-key Derek White type of guy impact on the defensive end for a guard. So I'm going to go with Reed Shepherd.
I usually like to lean with the big man in this spot, but I don't think I can do that here. Just because Ware's minutes kind of fluctuated at times. The effort hasn't been elite, so they've kind of put him on the bench for extended periods. He's been better recently, but now with Bam Adebayo back, that kind of limits him a bit, even though they can play next to each other. So I think I would go with Reed Shepherd as well, especially if Houston doesn't make a move anytime soon to add like an established point guard to the mix.
Right.
All right. Let's see, where is it? To go back to Wemby's question from earlier, the double-doubles and free throws made are the 2 extra categories in that 11-Cat. And that was with the
so I would definitely not trade. Don't trade Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Don't trade Jamal Murray. Because I don't want to amend free throw. I don't want the free throws made for him. He's not gonna make them.
True. Another Ty Jerome question. If Ty Jerome comes back, would you drop Ace Bailey? I love Ace, but he's my worst player. I think Ty Jerome's upside looks good.
Yeah, I have no problem with you doing that.
Yeah.
I think there's also probably better people on the waivers, but sure, let's support. This has been a Ty Jerome podcast today, so let's roll with it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair move. Like we mentioned earlier, Ace is someone that you're going to want to have roster like late January onward. I don't think it's a necessity right now, though. Okay. I can trade Mark Williams for Jalen Suggs. Should I? 10-team, 9-cat head-to-head.
I'm intrigued. They're both they both get injured often, but
yeah, there's the rest of his roster there.
Man, you're big. I mean, yeah, you could afford it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their roster kind of needs another guard. So
yeah, I would probably. I'd be okay with that trade for sure.
Yeah, the only concern is we don't, Suggs in terms of his minutes and back-to-backs. When's that going to change? But as long as you have Drew Holiday back healthy, which hopefully will be pretty soon, you should have enough to kind of compensate for Suggs missing the occasional game for back-to-back reasons. A healthy Wemby with Jokic and Duren and Zach Edey, I don't think you can afford to spare a big man in this one.
you don't need rebounds, man. You'll be all right.
I know we talked about your auction last show, Adam, but if you can put in what your salary cap was at the beginning of that draft, I'm really interested to hear what it was.
How were you able in an auction to get Wemby and Jokic? Like that's like if you're paying with a $200 budget, that's easily 180. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
All right. Jalen Tyson, his rest of the season outlook with the returning players in Cleveland.
A bit murky, but I'm willing to hold him to find out because I just thought that he's just been playing very well. I did an article on Yahoo yesterday about the most improved players, and if you just look at his growth, fantasy points per game, his usage rate, his fantasy points per minute, all of those numbers indicate someone that deserves to be in a rotation and will provide fantasy statistics in the minutes that he plays. So I still have him on my 12-team league team. So I would keep riding it until we see something different from the Cleveland Cavaliers rotation.
Yeah. Plus, we're still waiting for Max Strus to get back, and there really haven't been many updates on him. So that's even more reason to hold on to Tyson in the short term. And the offense may not be great with all those players on the floor, but I think give you some rebounding and defensive value coming off the bench. So won't be a fantasy standout, but I think he will still have value for the remainder of the season.
He's been hitting threes. Too, right? Like he's kind of like a Herb Jonesy, Tumani Kamara type-ish stat-wise. Not
2.2 threes a game, shooting about 49 from the field overall. He's had a good season thus far. That's for sure. Okay, another Brandon Miller, Jalen Williams. Who comes back first? Your guess is as good as ours. We discussed J-Dub a little earlier. Brandon Miller, Charlotte's injury reporting has been a bit suspect in recent years. So who knows? Then another factor there, what happens with LaMelo Ball? Reports, I think it was your colleague, Kelly Iko, reported yesterday. He's open to being traded if they find a deal, I guess you would say. It's like, I don't know what your value is as a starting point guard on a 4-11 team, but I don't know.
Brian Windhurst threw out today on the Hoop Collective, LaMelo for Ja, and I'm like, that probably makes sense. It's not going to make anyone better, but like, sure, if you want to just make a trade to make a trade, like that's what it'd be. But I'm actually, as much as that report suggested that LaMelo wants to be traded or he's open to it, I still feel like Charlotte needs to see what they look like with everybody healthy. And so I think as much as, the NBA is very drama filled and entertainment purposes, but I think there's a little bit of leash left for LaMelo until Brandon Miller gets back. And maybe because of that situation, maybe Brandon Miller comes back sooner than we expect him to, versus J-Dub, Thunder don't need him right now, man.
All right. We'll go back. Adam has answered. Let's see. The $200 limit, 88 on Wemby, 84 on Jokic, 19 on OG. Everyone else was $1 because people ran out of money. So, hey.
Wow. You just play in a great league, man. Everyone just blows their
Yeah.
budget, and then you just scoop up all the value. That's what's up.
Okay.
My auction did not go that way.
Yeah. I don't mind them. It's just I don't want to be sitting there for like 2.5 hours. Like I just want to pick my team and leave. But okay, so we discussed this, so we don't know in terms of Jalen Suggs, like when that restriction is going to be lifted. I would say for the foreseeable future, you're going to have to deal with this. Anthony Black has added value when Suggs isn't available, and he's been playing pretty well off the bench when Suggs has been available too. So if you have a space on your roster where you can potentially hold on to Anthony Black, I would consider doing that for the time being.
Yeah, I don't think that Orlando's going to lift that. The back-to-back, him playing back-to-backs, I don't think that's going to happen. But the minutes restriction, I think, is probably the first thing that we'll see go in a positive direction. But I still think it's going to be some time. Like, they need him healthy. I think last year and what happened at the end of the season without having him there, like, it's clear, like, this dude needs to be – he's their identity on defense. So he needs to be in the lineup.
Yeah, he's got a history of those injuries too. So
very much so.
All right. JDA, with Keegan Murray returning, does that make DeRozan expendable? He's been playing poorly. Hero, Garland, Wiggins, and Okongwu are available.
I mean, I'm not going to drop DeMar DeRozan, but I don't know. Those are some really good options. If Hero's coming back, I'd drop DeRozan for Hero in a second, probably. I just don't like the vibes in Sacramento. Like, who knows what they're going to do? They got to trade somebody or I don't know what Doug Christie's going to get fired. Something's going to happen. But this isn't a good time to roster DeMar DeRozan. That much is true.
I kind of feel like stable franchises would prioritize their first round pick. They did not do that with Keegan Murray. You know, they added DeRozan last year, then traded for Zach LaVine. Like,
they've done everything to stifle his development.
Yeah, they gave him the extension, which you obviously agreed to. But if you do that, now's the time to really clear the decks for him. Especially, like, you can't look at that team and say they have promise. So you have to clear the decks and let Keegan kind of rock out and see what you have there, who he fits with moving forward, because a lot of those vets aren't going to be part of the building process for this team, in my opinion. But
well, now the question becomes, can you even find deals for these guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, who wants DeMar DeRozan right now? Zach LaVine probably has the highest trade value. But still, like, Malik Monk,
bonus is hurt.
Dennis Schroeder, like, no one's like lobbying to get him on their roster right now.
Yeah.
So that's a mess, man. It's a mess.
Okay. My ideal trade, this is going back to, I think, to his auction league from earlier. Mark Williams and Tumani Kamara for Mikal Bridges, and then I pick up Tobias Harris.
Not a bad deal. I think Tobias Harris seems to be closer to returning. I think he was upgraded on the injury report a couple of times now. So
he's questionable, I think.
I'm not mad at that, because Kamara actually hasn't been playing particularly well this year. Mikal Bridges has been playing outstanding, so I see the vision.
Yeah, you get that 2-for-1. I would definitely make a swing for it. Knock on wood, Mikal Bridges is going to be available. So at least you have that going for you if you're able to pull this trade off. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, Brandon Williams or Colin Gillespie, Dynasty, 10-team, 9-cat head-to-head.
Dynasty, eh? I don't think either of them are must-holds in Dynasty, but if you're streaming trying to get a win, I'd probably hold Colin Gillespie just because I think long-term, I think that there's probably greener pastures there. There's not really a dedicated backup point guard. He's kind of established himself as that, whereas Brandon Williams, I don't know that he's going to be on the roster, I mean, he'll be on the roster, but like Kyrie Irving's going to come back long term, and there's probably too many bodies right now. He's just benefiting from injuries, and I don't think you can say the same for Colin Gillespie.
Yeah, they'll both be free agents next summer. Williams is on a partially guaranteed deal. Gillespie's is guaranteed for this season. So I think you enter that into the equation. I like Gillespie's ceiling in Dynasty a little bit better. I don't think either one of them has a great ceiling.
No, yeah, you're talking bench depth at this point.
Yeah. I think I would go Gillespie over Williams here. Oh, whoops! I just skipped the second one. All right. Clint would like to know thoughts on Dennis Jenkins with the Pistons. Now that he's starting, do you think you will continue starting over Alsar Thompson?
I don't, but you ride the wave, man. Dennis
Yeah.
Jenkins has been one of the best stories in basketball, and he's still producing. Like he dropped
Mm-hmm.
14-7 in his last game, even though he didn't play 30 minutes. Like I'm with it. I don't think that the SAR is going to stay on the bench. I
Yeah.
think they're just experimenting, which I think, this is the luxury of being a good team. You get to play different rotations, see what players kind of mesh, get that chemistry. So, later in the season, playoff mode, you have options and different looks to go through. So I think they're just testing things here. Hold Asar, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think right now you ride Jenkins until he's, relegated to the bench, not playing anymore.
Yeah. I think the question for Jenkins is more about Jaden Ivey than it would be Alsar Thompson.
Great question. Yeah, great point.
Jenkins shooting about 45% from three. He doesn't have the volume that, say, Duncan Robinson brings to the table, but maybe Alsar were to replace Duncan Robinson while they await Jaden Ivey's return. Jaden was sent to the G League recently, if I'm not mistaken, so he may not be far off from a return, but I think he'll be more impactful on Dennis Jenkins' opportunities than Alsar Thompson. And Dennis is still on a two-way, so he's got the games limit to deal with unless they were to give him a standard deal at some point. Certainly played well enough to be considered for that possibility for sure.
He'll be one of the, if they don't pay him, someone's going to pay him.
Somebody's going to give it to him, yeah. All right. His other question, Derek Queen with the Pelicans seems to be playing well with a lot of production in the fourth quarter during blowouts. I like his position in terms of individual stats, but that team is just dreadful.
It's dreadful, but sometimes you got to take the value out of those dreadful situations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be Kevon Looney. It's not going to be, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Yves Missi. I think there's just an aura around the Pelicans when Derek Queen is in the building. Like, I don't know. He just has it. And I think that they're steadily – Joe Dumars just mortgaged the 2026 unprotected pick for this man. You better play him. Willie wasn't. Chuck Borrega – James Borrega, guys, has the message loud and clear. He's getting a minute. So, yeah, I think you continue to do that. Don't expect much stocks out of Derek Queen, but I think he's going to get the stat stuffing, the rebounds, the assists, the scoring. Good fantasy player.
All right. Yeah, I had to look this up. They hired Joe Dumars in mid-April, so you can't blame either of those trades on anyone else. That cost him 2 first-round picks, essentially. So he has to play heavy minutes. So, yeah, they are going to get blown out a lot, but he'll be out. He should be out there 30-plus minutes a night. So,
yeah,
it's good. All right, we got a couple minutes left, so we're going to kind of speed through these last questions here. Silent Sid. Couple hundred guys coming back soon, and we'll need to drop 2 of these 3. AJ Mitchell, Moses Moody, Brandon Williams, Cam Johnson.
Should have already dropped Cam Johnson. And then I'd probably go probably Moses Moody.
Yeah, the Golden State rotation can be difficult to make sense of at times, so I can see holding on to him and maybe dropping Brandon Williams instead, but Brandon is starting. So I would say Cam and Moses to drop those 2. I think, well, yeah, we just got that's a duplicate. Okay. Would you drop Drew Holiday for any of these names I mentioned earlier, and we'll put up the whole team? Bane, Giddey, Keontae George, Holiday, Mobley, Wagner, DeRozan, Edey, Bam, Ayton, and Gobert.
So I had to drop Drew. I would drop Gobert for Drew.
Well, okay. Well, he's got Drew, but these are the guys he's mentioned here in terms of Hero, Garland, Wiggins, and Okongwu, who he could potentially pick up.
Of those guys.
Yeah.
I drop Wiggins.
Yeah. Aaron or Andrew, I think we're fine dropping.
Yeah. Either Wiggins.
Yeah. All right. Which 2 bigs to start tonight? Jared Allen, Derek Queen, and Rudy Gobert.
Interesting. You take that first, Raph. Let me see what the matchups are.
I'm starting. I think I would start Jared Allen. They're playing against the Pacers.
Yep. Agree with that.
So him, and then Derek Queen. We mentioned that earlier in terms of the playing time. I would go with those 2. Rudy Gobert against the Suns.
Could
I
be
think he
good.
can be good in terms of rebounds, but I think I like Queen's upside a little bit more in that matchup.
I'll agree with Raph there.
Okay. Will Herb Jones continue to be this bad?
I'm still holding, man, but it's trying my patience. First it was Cam Johnson, and then I was like, nope, can't do it anymore. Yeah, he can easily continue to be this bad, but I think it will be better, but who knows when. So hold if you can. If you can't, I get it.
His offensive ceiling is just so low at this point that I wouldn't hold on to him personally, but yeah. All right, we're going to wrap up on that note. Another depressing New Orleans Pelicans conversation. Thank you to Dan Titus, as always, for being willing to come on the show. Thank you guys for watching, sending in some really good questions, and enjoy the weekend.